This is a Kirkendall Barrett presentation, darling.
Feed me, meow, meow, meow.
Because of this podcast, I'm a gay icon.
I'm so hot. I'm so good looking. My salad dressing is amazing.
Like the internet at large, there are things you can do on the internet besides porn, but most of it's porn.
A lifetime of Hallmark.
Well, hello, everybody. It is your favorite day of the week. It is time for another episode of The Lifetime of Hallmark, where we talk about your favorite movies on both Lifetime and the Hallmark Channel and try to make sense of them. I am Les Kirkendall Barrett. Hello, Jason Bowers.
Hello, Les Kirkendall Barrett.
And hello, Kurt Fitzpatrick.
Hello, Les Kirkendall Barrett, and hello, Jason Bowers.
Well, the time is here. It is our tax season. It is Christmas season. And so we're watching hella Christmas movies.
And I am paying.
Yeah. You're paying?
But you're
yes,
paying.
I am paying. I am suffering. I had to watch this movie called Hot Frosty.
Did you not like it, Kurt?
I have opinions about it.
I have opinions, too.
I think I could have. I think I would have been okay with not seeing it. I don't think...
There are definitely Christmas movies that we have watched where I felt that I was suffering. I did not feel that way with this one. I enjoyed this one.
No, I enjoyed it too.
It was not without its problems, but I enjoyed it.
And this was a Netflix movie starring the Queen of Hallmark.
Yeah.
Lacey Chabert.
Yeah.
So I was like, is this her? Is she branching out? Is this like her Farrah Fawcett burning bed?
No.
Or Halle Berry's Monsters Ball?
I don't think so. I think it's the same kind of material, just a different, network.
It's
streaming.
Same wheelhouse of material, but it gets to be a smidge spicier because it's Netflix.
Yes.
It's not hampered by Hallmark. It's not beholden to advertisers either. But definitely the Hallmark playbook for sure. It's the same producers that did the Lindsay Lohan Hallmark movie last year. And I think did the Lindsay one this year. They reference Lindsay in this movie. They reference a role that Lacey has played in, I think, a Hallmark movie before.
Yeah. Yes.
No,
they're all sorts of inside jokes.
When she says, and I'm the queen of Aldoria. I don't believe she's in that movie. I wrote something, Aldovia, a Christmas princess. It looks like. I don't think she's in it.
But I love that though. Like, with the TV scene, and she's like, that looks like a girl I went to high school with.
So if you remember when we watched the Lindsay movie, they made a reference to that same Christmas princess. What's it called, Kurt?
I think it's the Christmas Princess.
Okay. They reference that in the Lindsay movie because it's the same producer. It's this woman, Amanda, that I know. And so she's a producer on this one as well. So it's like inside joke, baked inside joke, baked inside a joke. And the clip of Lindsay that we see in this movie is from the Hallmark movie the Lifetime, the Netflix movie Lindsay did last year.
Yeah, there's a Christmas Princess. This says this on Peacock, but I guess that's what it is.
There's a lot. No, there's a lot of princess movies.
Okay,
but go ahead.
Oh no, can I explain what I found potentially problematic about this movie?
Okay.
If you choose to look at it this way.
Oh, okay.
So we're
talking about Hot Frosty on Netflix,
right? So the premise of Hot Frosty is that a snowman melts, and it's a man who doesn't really have any experience, and Lacey Chabert kind of takes him in.
Yeah,
a hot man.
Uh-huh. So some years back, the National Theater did a production of Frankenstein. Benedict Cumberbatch played. Now, hold on. Let's stick with me here. Benedict Cumberbatch played the creature. Now, some of the criticisms were that he may have been playing the role as if he was intellectually disabled. And I was thinking that was kind of how this movie was playing, a bit like the Snowman man was perhaps a little challenged, and was almost like Lindsay or Lacey. Lacey was just so lonely. Like she brought in. It's almost like she was taking advantage of this person who was challenged.
No,
I don't
No.
see this that way. I can see that spin. I can
Well, that's what
recognize.
I'm just proposing that as a
Yeah.
possible way of looking at it.
Yeah, I
don't
read
think
something
that's what
where
they're
people
going
are saying
for.
this movie is like quote unquote Jesus-y. And if you look at it through that lens, it's like, well, he does sort of learn to become a carpenter. And he
who
is
said
sort of
that? But
like,
he
Did you read that somewhere?
he's there to serve her in the way the Lord
you
is here
read-
to serve us.
No, but did you
Allegedly.
read? Did you actually read that somewhere?
Yeah,
That
yeah.
it was Jesus-y?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I think it was Jesus-y.
Oh, somebody has that view of it. All right.
Oh, jeez.
But I mean, I think you could apply
that's
that
problematic,
lens
too.
to literally anything.
Wow, that's
I just thought it was a
interesting.
hot guy that learned how to fix stuff.
He's a Christ figure. Wow. Well, that's a heavy way to look at it as
Yeah.
well. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
I just thought it
And-
was like Frosty the Snowman with abs.
Yeah, and
No,
I
you
saw
gotta look deep.
another take on it, and sort of these kinds of movies in general is that they're presenting a version of men. They're sort of just nice and moldable, and not coming out of the grinder of toxic masculinity.
But
Yeah.
don't we want that?
I would think
not
so.
Realistic, Les. It's not realistic, Les.
Not all men are toxic.
A man, whoever how old he was, 33 or whatever. You're not born at 33 and have a fresh start. I guess.
Well,
you
he
could
was
be
a
born
snowman.
again.
I looked. I mean, what my
You
take
can't
on the
have fun with
movie?
this, Les. You have to suffer.
I thought the movie was fun, like light, enjoyable, fluffy, whatever. My only real criticism of it was that they needed to explain or give a reason for the magic a little bit more to justify why he's really dumb about some things but not about others.
Yeah. Yeah.
I that was my only real problem with it, is that there was sort of no like rules baked into the video game to show you how to play it.
Yeah, but that's such a difficult thing. We've seen that in other movies and stuff over the years.
It would have been a
It's
couple of
almost
lines of
impossible.
dialogue. Like if you look at our favorite movie, the Magic Lemon Drop with Aunt Gert and stuff. Like it was baked into that movie that Aunt Gert and the woman's mom, Aunt Gert's sister, visited this like shaman or whatever that gave him these magic lemon drops. That's all you need, is just an explanation as to why this scarf in this movie was magical.
Right,
Well,
I agree with you. And there were rules, but the rules, they didn't have to draw them out. They were just like boom, boom, boom. You got to do this. You got to do this. You got to do this.
Yeah.
But
realistically, if somebody was actually born, I mean, there's no reason to. I'm just ruining all the fun.
Well, this
So if
I
someone's
see
born at
big
32
parallels between this movie and Splash.
I do too.
If you look at this guy, instead of a snowman, he's a mermaid. He's a mermaid who now has legs
Merman.
and is walking on Earth.
With Schitt's Creek's Eugene Levy.
Oh yeah, there we go.
That's right. Yeah, they have a lawsuit on their hands. Okay. Yeah, I don't want to ruin anyone else's fun, because
Yeah,
you
don't
could
be
say,
a Grinch, Kurt.
all right. But I was saying, if somebody was really being born at 31, 32, they would actually have to learn language, vocabulary, the customs. I mean,
But they kind of explain that because he picked up stuff by watching TV.
Which they did in Splash. But this is
And
my
they do
problem
in,
with
like,
it, is that he
some of them
already
do that.
knew stuff before he watched TV. He already
understood,
knew how to understand and speak English. Like it,
Yes.
there were some bigger words he didn't know, and I feel like if they had explained that sort of in the rules of the scarf, name of my book,
Yeah.
it would have just. It would have helped me with the suspension of disbelief that a movie like this requires.
And this dude was pretty clued in to very sensitive.
Yep.
He was very clued in as to what a woman's needs, and he listened, and he could have been a real caveman and hitting her over the head with a club or something like that, not knowing that's the wrong thing to do. But no, it was the whole other way. Anyway, I know that's people want to enjoy themselves. I want to ruin people's good times on Hot Frosty.
He was using his powers for good.
I have strong opinions on this. I can't sit and watch it.
I love how he was objectified. Like the ladies all objectified him.
Yeah, I enjoyed that too.
Oh yeah, women. Anyway, I'll leave that alone.
We'll get to it when we get into the movie.
Yeah, we're getting there.
But we should talk about somebody else who's been objectified plenty in her life.
Yes, Kurt, do you have any Black China news?
Doing a piece of China.
China.
I'm talking China.
The Black China Report. Here's Kurt Fitzpatrick.
Okay, I have opinions about this too. Now, this is from the shaderoom.com. I don't think we ever checked in with them before. Article written by Jadrina Solomon. All right. So social media is weighing in after Angela White, formerly known as Black China, and her fiance, Derek Milano, recently revealed whether they'll be signing a prenup. On Tuesday, April 19th, a new episode of Angela Yee's podcast Lip Service was released via YouTube. At some point in the conversation, White and Milano were asked to share if they were planning on getting a prenup amid tying the knot, I guess before tying the knot. In response, White repeated the words seemingly as a question to Milano. Prenup, she said. Then Milano shared his thoughts. Well, you know what? I'm not against it. I'm not opposed to it, Milano said, shrugging. I mean, because she has a lot of stuff already. She got her cars, like that's hers. She got her Sprinter, that's hers. What's a Sprinter?
Like a Sprinter van.
Sprinter van, yeah.
Oh, a van? Okay. All right. As I was saying, she has her house, that's hers. I have my stuff, that's mine. Despite this, Milano went on to explain that he's not pressed for them to sign a prenup. At that point, White chimed in firmly. There won't be a prenup, she said. So a lot of people in social media are weighing in. One Instagram user, @_suckafreezy, wrote, they wrote, all right, Angela, put China on the phone real quick. I got to talk to her. Instagram user @BreakupLawyer wrote, we hope that we won't get into a car accident, but we keep insurance on our vehicles just in case. Prenups are like insurance for your marriage. And Instagram @JamesShillTV says, as long as she has more money than him, I'm happy to hear this. Now, I would recommend that they do a prenup. I'd recommend in general people get prenups when they get married. That's what I say. That's it. That's the article.
First of all, I love the name Suckafreezy.
Rachel Lindsay reflected on this is a whole other article.
What did Rachel Lindsay say?
I don't know.
Bachelorette?
Rachel Lindsay reflected on a decision to opt out of a prenup with Brian Abasolo. She said, the reason is because the place I'm in now financially is totally different than when I got married. We were more level. Okay. Well, okay. I mean, I think if you get married when you're super young, then maybe not. But if you're going a little older, I'd say even into your 30s, I think you should have a prenup.
Kurt, can you back up and read us the date of that story again?
Yeah, I checked the dates because I made that mistake one time.
Didn't you say it was April something?
This is November. It was just this week.
You said something about the podcast happening in April.
No, well then I misspoke. It was on Tuesday, November 19th. Playback tape. Okay. It was this week.
So it just happened.
Yeah. No, I did make that mistake one time where I read an old article.
Okay. I may have misheard you, but I thought you said something about April, and I'm like, this is not really news at this point.
And Suckafreezy, if you want to come on to the show, you are more than welcome.
We can't. I'm
gonna write a movie, and the lead character is gonna be named Suckafreezy.
Can we say? I like that. Yeah. Can we talk about some of our upcoming guests on the show?
Yeah.
Do we have? Are any of them actually booked?
Well, Kate
confirmed.
Kate
sort of.
Kate is confirmed. Yes.
Yes, Kate Casey has confirmed.
Karen Richmond is going to come on the show. We just don't have her we don't have a date yet, but she's coming on the show. Of course, she was the new guest.
I'm very excited to talk to her.
I am too.
Yeah.
I just don't want to jinx it. That's what I don't like talking about before
I
we
don't
know
want
for
to
sure
jinx.
it's happening.
I don't think we're jinxing it. She's into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's gonna be like Love Boat December.
Maybe. We should try and get Meredith on too for the Merry Gentleman.
Yes, absolutely.
We're like the Miami Vice of this era. Remember they used to have guest stars all the time?
Yeah.
Yes.
Or
They're
like
Keith
we're
Gordon,
like
Liddy,
Law and
Phil
Order.
Collins.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
blink, blink, blink.
Yeah.
Well, let's get into this movie. Hot Frosty
On Netflix.
on Netflix.
Shame on you.
So we see a flying hat. The hat's just like flying around for no reason.
A top hat.
A top hat is just flying around. Then we have a Christmas voiceover, which is popular in Christmas movies. You know, most of them do have like a once upon a time sort of voiceover.
Yeah, I refer to it in my notes as a fanciful voiceover about
Yes.
Christmas fairy tales and snowmen bringing magic to the right person.
And then they're like, we're going to show you we're Netflix. And then a car runs over the hat.
Yeah.
And then it snowed. One thing I noticed about this movie, lots of snow.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, Hallmark, a lot of times it snows at the end. No, the whole time.
I think the advantage Netflix has over Hallmark just broadly is just the budgets of their movies are bigger. They just have more money to spend, which is why, in addition to getting Lacey, who I think has a contract with Hallmark, you can also get a pretty good supporting cast of like recognizable names.
Like, I wonder, did they have to, like, I wonder if it's like the studio system where they had to kind of borrow her or kind of had to pay. Remember, like, during the studio system where, like, if Paramount wanted to use someone from Warner Brothers, they'd have to kind of borrow them.
Well,
I don't think that, I don't think that happens anymore.
I think Lacey's contract with Hallmark, she probably negotiated in this last like renegotiation to like, hey, budgets are getting tighter everywhere. Like, I need to be allowed to do at least one other project outside of the Hallmark universe a year or something like that.
Right.
I wonder why she doesn't want to do something a little different. You know, maybe she just isn't offered anything.
Well, this is her niche, though. She's, you know, she's the queen of Hallmark.
Like, if you're typecast, it means you're getting cast.
And because I know someone who works with, like, he doesn't work for the channel, but he works closely with the channel or people from the channel. And he says that there is a pecking order.
Oh, yeah.
And one of the reasons why Candace Cameron Bure and Winnie Cooper, what was her name?
Danica McKellar.
Danica McKellar left Hallmark is because they knew that they would never be Queen Bee over at Hallmark because Lacey was the Queen Bee. And that's why they went over to the other network that shall not be named.
I also think part of that for those two actresses in particular, and this is going to sound crass, and I don't mean it to, but they're a little bit older. They're like Lacey's sort of right in the demographic sweet spot for advertisers, and she looks a little younger. Candace and Danica are probably around 50. They're probably around 10, 15 years older.
And
just like, not that isn't attractive to some advertisers, but it does sort of age you out a little bit. Just that it would happen with men as well.
Right. So we see this house because they're playing like the Christmassy, like the bling 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 music, and so we see like a house of Santas, right? Like in the front yard. And we think it's going to be that house, but it's actually the house next door. So we hear an alarm. It's the morning. Lacey wakes up. She puts on, she's sleeping in a very ugly bedroom.
One thing I liked about this movie is, that, in the Hallmark movies and the Lifetime movies, they always try to make the houses look so glamorous, and this looked like a real home.
This house was a shithole.
Yeah, well.
Nah, it was like a crack house, man.
This house was an absolute shithole.
She had to step over Samuel L. Jackson from Jungle Fever as she walked to the bathroom.
Because first of all, she put on like multiple layers of clothes because she didn't have any heat.
Or heater
Then
broke.
then she was walking down the stairs and like her stairs had holes in them.
That's dangerous.
The house was dirty. She looked like a hoarder, and that's why I thought this was kind of like her monster's ball or her burning bed, because she was going to get too stretchy.
Please. How could you even think that?
This is Lacey Chabert's version of Monsters Ball. Instead of wearing like makeup to make herself physically unattractive, she's starring in a movie where her house is less than perfect.
Yeah,
Her house
yeah.
Her monster's ball. Billy Bob Thornton stops over.
So then we see a picture, and there's a picture of her with a guy. And then we see her, and she's driving into town in a shitty car. Mm-hmm. She has a shitty car as well.
Well, that I go along with. I don't see any point in spending money on cars.
But Hallmark Lacey would never drive a shitty car.
No, Hallmark Lacey would have had like a nice SUV from whatever sponsor let them use it for the movie.
Right. And so we're hearing that on the radio that there's a snow sculpture competition in town. And then she drives up to Kathy's Cafe. And the cafe in Kathy's Cafe has a K.
And the Kathy is Lacey.
She's Kathy.
So she goes into work, and her coworker Isaac is like, you really need to fix the heat in your house. So that's how pathetic she is. Even her coworkers know that she has no heat. And if she owns a diner that looked very full all the time, she had no excuse for having no heat.
Yeah, it didn't seem like she didn't have the funds to fix it. She had a note next to the thermostat to call the repair guy. I just think she was, we'll later find out why, but she just like can't get her life together. She can't bring herself to get her life together.
Now, I liked breakfast. And I wrote an extra note. I'm like, the food looked good.
Yeah.
And like, she's one of these, like, so a mom and her kid came in, and the mom was Chriselle from Selling Sunset.
What?
Sure.
Yeah.
What's Selling Sunset?
It's a Netflix show.
Kurt Fitzpatrick.
Or is it on Netflix, or is that a Bravo show?
It's one of the most popular shows on Netflix.
It is?
Yes. And it's a reality
show. What are they doing?
Show.
It's a real estate show?
Okay, think of it this way. It's Real Housewives, but they're realtors.
Oh, I would never watch that.
And
I can't take it.
And they're realtors with the Oppenheim Group, which is in West Hollywood. And so she's one of the women from Sunset, but also Days of Our Lives. And before
She's
Days
on that too?
Our Lives, she was on All My Children, and now she's not only on Selling Sunset, but she's currently on Neighbours in Australia.
Oh, man. Well, she's busy.
Yes. And her biggest claim to fame is she was married to, who was the guy, really good looking guy who played Arrow? Justin Hartley. And
Justin Hartley wasn't Arrow. He was on This Is Us.
I think he was Arrow before he was on This Is
Us. No. You're thinking of a different actor. Yeah.
But he's
this guy. He's on a show called Tracker, right?
He is.
Yeah, now he is. Yeah. And he dumped her like via text or something.
Stephen Amell was an Arrow.
Oh, okay. They kind of look alike.
Yeah, I mean they're
shout out to Stephen Amell.
But I thought that Chriselle, since she is also an actor, I thought she was going to have a bigger part in this. But I guess this was like a Netflix cameo.
Yeah, she doesn't have time.
And she's with a little girl, and the little girl asked for chocolate chip pancakes. So this was to show, I guess, that Kathy was likable and that everybody loved Kathy.
She made her this. She made her those chocolate chip pancakes.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah.
And so then she went over to visit her friends. There was this thrift store. So it was like kind of, a little town. So it was like a cute street of like shops. Mm-hmm. So the shop across the street was called Reclaimed Bags, and it was like a thrift store. And so she brought her buddies from the thrift store sandwiches. And it was a married couple. Mm-hmm. And we've seen the woman before. We've seen her in a lot of stuff.
I think her name, the actress's name, I think if I'm not confusing the cast, her name is Sherry Miller.
Yeah, we've seen her. So she's, talking to Lacey and kind of like, oh, are you dating? Have you met somebody? And then she tells a story, which they would never do on Hallmark. She tells a story about how on Christmas Eve, she got gussied up and went to a bar to pick up men. And she ended up meeting her husband, who they own the shop together. And she said that she put on her makeup and put on a red scarf and went to the bar, and she met a guy at the bar. And so she
gives her a scarf.
She gives her a red scarf. She's like, one just came in. I didn't know where it came from, but here, take it.
And that's all I'm saying is that they needed to maybe justify that this character had some sort of psychic powers or like maybe a little bit more like magic to the story of how she met her husband that would then explain how this scarf is going to come into play into bringing the snowman to life.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's not consistent either with this scarf.
No.
It didn't. I don't know if it had.
No.
It didn't really have the magic.
No, it didn't. There's actually, there's a scene later in the movie where he's not even wearing it.
Yeah.
So, so after that, Lacey's walking down the street. There's sad music playing. She's lonely. She's probably thinking, "Oh my God, I've got to go to my shithole house." And she's walking past the snowman contest sculptures. And all the other ones are just like regular snowmen. But in the middle is like just a hot snowman.
He's ripped.
And so she puts the scarf on the snowman and his eye went bling.
Yeah.
And then she walks away, and all of a sudden, he comes to life, and it's Ted from Schitt's Creek.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, Ted looked good before, but Ted looks really good now.
Yeah. Look at Lacey fat shaming the other snowmen now.
Yes, she did.
She did, didn't she? Yeah. She didn't, take into account they may have a good personality. They might be able to make her laugh.
Yeah, she looked around. She's like, these fat fucks, no. I want the hot, ripped snowman.
Exactly.
Also, she could have gotten a spoon and given them some abs.
Yeah. Lacey, you could have made an army of hot snowmen, you dumbass.
Yeah.
You're not a dumbass, Lacey. I love you.
Women, you can change a man if they're made of snow. Otherwise, it's a little difficult.
So not only was Ted hot, he was naked.
Yeah, buck naked. I'm tired of seeing naked men. There's some movie with Glenn Powell. Glenn Powell in Australia. Buck ass naked for like half the movie.
What is this movie? I need to see it now.
Yeah, what movie is
I think it's on Netflix. Look it up. It's something with Glenn Powell. He's in Australia.
Saying a movie has Glenn Powell in it does not really narrow things down in the year 2024.
Well, how many movies? Let me take a look. Glenn Powell. You know what I'm talking about. I'm Googling. Okay, it's called Anyone But You from 2023.
Oh, that's him in Sydney Sweeney.
Yeah. Well, enough already.
So, he wasn't completely naked though. He was wearing his red scarf.
Yeah.
And so these old people are walking by, and he says hi to them, and the man falls to the ground, and the woman just ogles him. Like the old ladies in this movie, were just like, whatever.
Look, these ladies need to take a lesson from Aunt Gert in that Hallmark movie because they need to get dicked down. This entire town of women is horny.
Get Mama's Family.
Yes.
So he was naked, but he knew that he needed clothes, and so he fell into the window. This is another thing. He fell into the window and broke the window and didn't get hurt at all.
No. And this is this is one of those things where I'm talking about it. Like, how does he know that he needs clothes? Like, how does he know that it's wrong to not be wearing clothes?
Because he wasn't cold.
Bible. The people who look at this as a religious movie. Could this be another Bible reference, as like Adam and Eve realizing they're naked and have to cover themselves up?
Probably.
Because he was comfortable in the cold. Because since he was a snowman, it didn't bother him. So he gets clothes.
He was warm.
He picks out very hot clothes. And I don't mean hot like, ooh, it's warm in here. I mean hot like, ooh, that's hot.
It was like a mechanic's jumpsuit, but without sleeves.
So then the next day, Kathy, it's her routine. She wakes up in her shithole again.
Oh, it's not that bad.
She goes into work and she sees Ted talking to himself. And he recognized Kathy. And he's like, I saw you last night. You're the one that gave me the scarf. And he's talking to her and she thinks he's crazy. So,
yeah.
Just like, the skimpy attire. And so she's like, listen, you need to go inside. Just come into my diner. I'll feed you. So, and then, it was her friend in the thrift store, right? Who asked, should I call the cops? Or someone asked, should I call the cops?
The chef does, I think.
Right. And then she's
Isaac,
like,
maybe?
Well, no. Yeah. Oh, it was Isaac. And she's like, no, because the cop overreacts. And so we don't need him. So the sheriff shows up at the thrift shop because the window's broken, and it's Craig Robinson from The Office.
I love him.
Yep.
And so we cut back,
and it's also Joe. I don't know how to say his last name. Joe Latrulio from Brooklyn Nine-Nine, who I love.
Yeah, he was also on The State.
Yeah,
which I was an intern on back in the 90s.
Wow.
So he doesn't remember. So since Ted doesn't remember his name or anything, Lacey decides to name him Jack.
Well, that's on his.
Yeah,
that's right. It was on his.
It was on the jumper that he stole.
Yeah.
So, he feels really cold. So she takes him to the doctor, to her sassy friend, doctor friend.
Yeah, Dottie.
Yeah, this gets a little weird.
So the doctor, and then she tells her, right? She tells the doctor that I think, like, he says he's a snowman, and the doctor's like, well, maybe he is.
Well, the doctor walks in like, ooh. Like, every woman is like man hungry in this movie.
Yeah.
So, like, the doctor takes his temperature, and it's only 30 degrees. So the doctor's like, and so then when she says, well, he says he's a snowman, the doctor's like, well, his temperature is only 30 degrees.
But he's sweating.
He
was sweating.
So you're saying that a person who has devoted their life basically to science and medicine believes that a person used to be a snowman and they woke up?
Yeah.
Have you looked around at half of America in November 2024?
True. True.
Well,
just saying.
Okay. All right.
I'm saying it's within the realm of possibility that somebody certainly believes that, even when you would think they wouldn't.
All right. I'm allowed to continue to be surprised.
For sure.
So then we're back at the police station. The sheriff is playing a keyboard, and we find out.
That's that movie Knocked Up, where he won't let them in the club. He goes, I can't let you in this club because you're old as fuck. I love it. Yeah, he was great in that. He's also good in the Hot Tub Time Machine.
Yeah. I actually liked. I didn't see the second one, but I liked the first one.
I should see the second one because that first one was just like so much fun.
I think he lives kind of near me because I've seen him around a few times.
Mhm. Maybe he lives near what's his name? Your friend.
Be
Boy
more
Meets World?
specific. Oh, your
Savage
band? Maybe.
World.
Maybe.
Ben Savage.
Yeah.
Have you seen Ben Savage in a while?
I have not seen Ben Savage since he was last running for office for something.
That's why he's not getting out.
Yeah.
He's not campaigning.
And he lives really close to me. He lives like a couple blocks from me.
So someone called in a streaker and reported a streaker. And so this gets the sheriff excited. So meanwhile, Lacey takes Jack back to her shithole house and turns on the TV, and the TV's the Lindsay Lohan Netflix movie, and she's like, "Oh, that's weird. That girl looks like someone who I went to high school with."
Yeah.
Could you be any more? Could they be any more heavy-handed? Be a little more subtle.
But I like this. I like little jokes like that, though.
Well, that was a big statement.
It was a pretty I like it. The Queen of Moldova one was more subtle. This was really blatant, but they had done a really blatant one in the Lindsay movie last year too. So whatever.
Right.
That's their thing. That's their version of Hitchcock cameoing in his movies.
Yeah. Right. Well, sometimes Hitchcock was very subtle, like that Lifeboat movie. He's just like in the newspaper. Well, maybe that was kind of obvious. It's holding a newspaper up to the camera, but there is a cute joke in the movie that I will acknowledge.
Okay.
It's coming up.
So we find out that Lacey's talking to Jack, and we find out that she and her husband opened the diner together. And Jack wants to work at the diner, and Lacey's like, "No, that wouldn't be a good idea." And then Jack tells her he loves her, and she's like, "No, you don't. You just don't say that you love someone. You can't just say that."
Right.
And then the heater's on, and Jack's like, "You know what? It's really hot." And so she turns the heater off, and then she turns. Heater. Yeah. So then,
no, he's watching Nosferatu. That's one of the things he's watching.
Yes, and he's afraid of vampires. So, Kathy's talking to her friend, the doctor. Craig Robinson shows up, and he tells her what he's looking for. And we cut back to the house. Jack's watching TV and eating ice cubes. And he goes down, and he's watching like all these like DIY shows.
Yeah.
But at this point, wasn't he like watching the Nosferatu and he gets freaked out? So he basically he ends up doing some accidental snooping.
Yes.
What's the movie? I guess Short Circuit. What's the movie where the things like input? Is that Short Circuit?
I think that's.
I never saw that
with the robot.
Yeah.
And
yeah. It's like, that's what he's like. He's watching the stuff and just absorbing everything.
Yeah. But again, they did this with Daryl Hannah in Splash.
She did that
too. She learned to speak through watching TV.
That's when she said blooming hills.
I don't know. It's been a long time since I've seen that one.
So he goes out of the basement and he finds pictures. He finds wedding pictures. He finds medical records. And then I'm like, uh-oh, we know where because it's her husband's medical records. And we're like, we know where this is going.
This was a troublesome scene for me because the medical records were in a font that can only be described as Comic Sans adjacent.
I'm glad you have a problem. That sounds ridiculous, but I'm glad you have a problem with that.
I have I don't have a huge problem in general with the Comic Sans, but I know that a lot of people do. My roommate always goes on this like screaming about it. But I do think it would be truly absurd if a medical facility were maintaining their records in the font Comic Sans. I do think that would be absurd.
Well, they're trying to lighten the mood.
Maybe. They're like, yeah, he died of cancer, but if I put it in this wacky font, it's going to land a lot softer.
You know, you got to do what you got to do.
So Lacey comes home.
Less offensive than Patch Adams, in my opinion.
So Lacey comes home. Jack's wearing an apron. She brings him more clothes. And he starts to change in front of her, and she's like, no, you're not. No, Snowman, don't do that. And then she asks him, you know, hey, you know, last night, you know, were you wearing clothes because someone called in a report about a streaker, and so now the sheriff is looking for you, and so you need to lay low because we don't want him to find you. So just stay in the house, don't attract any attention to yourself, and you know, lay low. So,
He makes her some food.
He makes her pizza.
Yeah.
And eggnog.
Eggnog, yeah. Looks good.
Yeah. Looks very good.
I always like to have like a glass of eggnog every holiday season. I crave it just for the idea of it, and then I have it, and I'm like, okay, I'm good.
It's so heavy.
Right,
It's
so
like you're drinking melted ice cream.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
So you just have a glass?
Good.
Yeah.
I'd have like a little glass, and that's all I can take. Yeah.
Because I guess too, if you have lactose issues, that's not a good thing.
Yeah, you don't. No, it's not.
Oh, so then he tells her that he went downstairs to the basement, and then he asks her, "What's cancer?"
She's like, "Whoa!"
And I know, I'm like, "Oh."
You could read that in that Comic Sans, really?
Well, no, I read it.
She was embarrassed. She says, "Oh, you saw that font?"
Yeah.
So then she says her husband died.
I see
And
Paul.
And she also said when he was the one who did all of the home repairs, and that's why she's like, that's why my house looks like a shithole.
Yeah.
So
I don't think she said that, but she could have. It's Netflix.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And no one would have flinched.
Wouldn't that be like a wild swing if Netflix is doing these like Hallmark-esque movies? Certainly, you know, trying to follow that mold somewhat, but they're like, but it's Netflix, so let's just let him curse. And it's just like Lacey, just mouth of a sailor the entire movie.
Right. She's all motherfucker.
They could have gone.
She's like Samuel L. Jackson.
It's like the holidays, but just full frontal nudity.
Yeah, they could have done that. She also could have made him like her sex slave.
Yeah.
Because that's right. That's right. You get changed right in front of me. Do it.
She is a basic. He would have done whatever she wanted him to do.
Totally. He was kind of like Jeannie on I Dream of Jeannie.
Yeah.
Because Jeannie was dumb.
Jeannie wasn't dumb. See, misconception.
Really?
She was just like had to do whatever Master told her to do. She didn't have the free will to do anything for herself to a degree.
Like Samantha.
But she wasn't dumb.
See, I always thought, when I was a kid, I always thought that Samantha was smart and Jeannie was dumb.
I always thought Samantha was smarter.
In a way, Snowjack is a little bit like Lawnmower Man. Like he can keep taking this information.
Who is Lawnmower Man?
A Stephen King book?
Really less, you would say to me, Kurt Fitzpatrick.
Wait, was that the one that he died? Wait, was that the one when he died? He then took over.
There's a movie. There's a movie with it with Pierce Brosnan. Was that the one that,
like, at the end he took over? He died and then took over computers.
Yeah, he became like he became like this ultimate entity or something like that.
Okay, so I have seen it.
Okay, so there you go.
How dare you? I have seen it. I just needed to remember.
How dare you? But yeah, like Snowjack is taking us all this information. He's going to be brilliant at some point. If he's learning that quickly at that.
It's a bit of what you're going to have with AI, though. You put shit in, you're getting shit out.
No.
You know, if you've got
And
a
speaking
town
of
of people
shit-
that are keeping their medical records with the Comic Sans, he's going to be a moron
True.
eventually.
I thought about
So
that.
I kind of wondered that too, because all right, so he started eating solid food because he made her a hot pizza.
Oh, you're
and then
thinking
he
about
had a
literal
pizza.
shit in, shit out.
Yeah, because then he had a pizza and he was eating cold pizza, and so he was eating like solids.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, how does his digestive system work as a snowman? I didn't even think about that, man.
See,
I
they should have explained that in the rules that I suggest. Just like, okay, when you wear this scarf, this is going to happen, and here's how you're going to shit.
I'm gonna give this movie some credit because this has really opened up some avenues of discussion.
Right.
It really has. I'm thinking very hard from many different angles.
So then he sees this commercial about Hawaii, and so he's like, let's go to Hawaii. And then she shoots that down too. She's like, you just don't go to Hawaii with strangers. We don't know each other. And
That's
so she's like just being a buzzkill.
Well, also, if she's like, oh, it doesn't make sense to go to Hawaii with this stranger, yet
Right.
it makes sense for you to let this complete stranger that thinks he's a snowman live in your home when you just met him?
Well, it's cheaper.
Right.
Well, at least you could throw him out of the house. You go to Hawaii, you're stuck in a hotel room or something for a while.
So then the next day, he's like watching more shows. Like he, as a snowman who's only been alive for like a day or so, even he looks around this house and thinks it's a shithole. And so he watches a TV show
It's like 3 things that need to get fixed.
on how to repair stuff. Well, I'm sure she had black mold in that house too. Because she had like a leaky roof.
No. Ugh.
That house was in awful shape.
Probably lead paint. House is probably like over 100 years old.
So he watched a show on how to fix stuff, and so then he's like doing maintenance outside shirtless, and then Lauren Holly drives by and like sees him and like crashes her car.
Yeah.
She can't handle it. She was in the Adventures of Ford Fairlane.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. She
And on
was.
All My Children.
And she was on
she-
Picket Fences. She was in Dumb and Dumber.
And she
That's
was
right,
Julie
yeah.
Chandler. She was Julie Chandler on All My Children.
She dated Jim Carrey for a while. Very high. I think they may
Yeah, I
have
remember
even
that.
been engaged.
A long time. They dated
Yeah.
a long time.
That was a big power couple in the 90s.
Yeah.
Yes. So she's like, well, what are you doing? And he's like, oh, I'm fixing stuff and installing stuff. And she's like, well, I have something at my house that I need installed.
A lamp.
Can you come over? And he's like, sure. So the next scene, he's like fixing stuff at her house, and all of the old ladies in the neighborhood are there drinking martinis and watching him.
That was actually really funny. Like, we have been joking about the fact that these women are all horny, and obviously they kind of are. But I did love the dynamic of when they would have all the women together just sort of ogling him. It was a very funny game to play throughout the movie.
And just drinking martinis in the middle of the afternoon.
Wow.
And
Yes, we'll accept this.
and so then
Gentrifying.
he's like, hey, I need a ride to the diner. And in the next scene, all of the old ladies are in a car giving him a ride.
Again, funniest scene of the movie. They just all roll up in a car. After Kathy has told Jack to lay low, not only is he like not laying low, he's in a convertible with all these horny women who are all just like completely wrapped by him.
Yeah.
And they've offered him work. He's gonna work at the high school, right?
Yes. That's
They got
called
a
pretty
job
privilege.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, it's pretty privilege.
Job offer. Yeah.
So, so he went to the diner and he asked for some ice water, and then he pours it all over himself.
Yeah.
And Craig Robinson sees him do this. And then Lacey's like, oh my God. And Lacey gets scared. And so she's like, just repeat, like follow my lead, do what I do. And so then Craig Robinson's getting inquisitive and getting suspicious because, like, for example, Jack orders he just gets a glass of ice with no water. Mm-hmm. And the sheriff is like, well, why do you have a glass of ice with no water? And then he starts Jack starts eating the ice, and then Craig Robinson starts eating the ice too.
And even Joe Latrulio comes over and has a piece of ice.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he compliments his scarf too.
Yes.
I'm glad Joe Latrulio is in stuff.
I am too.
So Jack is standing outside, and once again, Lacey's like, look, I told you to lay low and you're attracting all of this attention to yourself. And then he tells her that he got a maintenance job at the middle school. And she's like, no, you can't do it. Just go home. And he was like, no, I'm doing this job. So they go back to her house, and he had it wasn't a shithole anymore. He fixed everything.
Fixed the roof.
No, he didn't fix everything.
Decorations.
In fact, the thing that he didn't fix is kind of... I mean, I guess it makes sense that he didn't fix it because he didn't need it.
The heater?
But he didn't fix the heat.
Right.
Well, he didn't want the heat.
No.
He didn't want the heat.
No.
Got to be cold in there.
And then she's like, well, how did you do this? Why did you do this? And he's like, oh, I was just doing what I saw on TV. And so she thanks him. And so then...
Well, it's a good thing he wasn't watching the Jeffrey Dahmer series then.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
Or OnlyFans.
Yeah.
Or OnlyFans. Or Grotesquerie.
Oh, God. Yeah.
And he's like, listen, I don't know how much time I have on this earth. And so... I want to make the most of the time that I have here, and I enjoy fixing stuff, and I enjoy being out and about. So that's what I want to do.
Heavy-handed again with the life lessons, but all right, okay.
Well, there is sort of an overarching message that they kind of tie it up in at the end of the movie that this movie is very much about service, being of service.
Yeah.
Again, Jesus-y.
That's good. Hmm.
So then he goes to the school.
But no, there's a funny little scene. Is that do we skip that yet?
Oh, go ahead.
Before? Oh no, it's after the school. Okay.
So then he goes to the school and he's helping them get the gym ready for the school dance.
Yeah.
And so then there's a fixing the school montage, and then it turns into like a making cookies montage, and then it turns into a Christmas montage.
But in the making cookies, she's got a little snowman cookie, and she bites it, and he gets kind of upset.
Yeah, he gives her a look of like,
about it, yeah.
Dude, really?
Yeah.
And I thought that was, I didn't laugh out loud, but I thought it was amusing.
It was cute.
Yeah.
And then, so then she's talking to Jack, and then she tells him how hey, the whole town loves you. Like for someone who's been supposed to be laying low, you're very popular.
Yeah, as the school day's ending, he's saying goodbye to literally every person, and they all just love him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then they're driving through town, and he sees that the thrift store window is getting replaced. And he tells Lacey, oh my gosh, I felt bad about the window being broken. And so I bought it on your computer. And she's like, well, who paid for this? And he's like, oh, nobody. It just went through. And she's like, oh, well, my credit card's on my computer. So I paid for this, basically.
Yeah.
And then she's like, don't do that anymore. So, he goes to talk to the people in the thrift store. Lacey's in the car. The deputy, what's his name? Blah, 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 blah.
Oh, Nate or Ed? Nate is Craig Robinson.
Ed. So he comes in, he has a drawing of what the streaker supposedly looks like.
Oh yeah.
Right.
And it looked a lot like Jack. And so Lacey's trying to distract the sheriff. She's trying to distract the deputy. But the sheriff, goes over. The sheriff is being very annoying. But then we cut back to the gym. Oh, is this the scene that we missed or what?
No, I think that's the next thing.
Yeah, this is the next thing. Yep.
Yeah.
Because we're at the gym and he overhears a boy ask a girl out on a date.
Very awkwardly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's still kind of learning. So he, and the girl said yes.
Yeah.
So we're back in the sheriff's office, and
oh, by the way, that's the scene I noticed he wasn't wearing the scarf.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
In the date office or the date,
it was like while he's sitting in that chair in the gym, overhearing the kid asking the girl on the date. He's not wearing the scarf. He's wearing a blue flannel shirt.
So that wasn't magic.
No.
So Jack goes to the sheriff's office, and the deputy's there, and he asks for advice on how to ask Kathy out on a date. And then he's asking him all these questions, and he's like, well, how do I know if she wants to kiss me? So then the deputy's explaining what she'd probably look like.
Well, it's a little interesting because Jack is buttering up Joe Trulio is kind of telling him like he's hot.
Mm-hmm.
And then,
but it's earnest. He basically is saying like, hey, I think you're cool.
Yeah. And then Joe Trulio is showing him how to kiss. Like I almost thought they were going to kiss.
I did too. Because it is Netflix, after all.
Yeah.
And then Craig Robinson is looking out the window and watching. I was wondering, where are they going with this? Is this going to be a joke? Like he thinks they're gay? It's like, but they didn't do that. But I thought they were approaching that jaded humor.
But
they didn't do it. So okay.
So then Jack asks Kathy to go to the dance with him. And then they go into town, and I'm like, oh, they're revving up for a makeover montage. And then they had a snowball fight, and then they had a makeover montage.
Yep. They had a Pretty Woman. Well, they had a song Pretty Woman, so you knew the reference was. But then they had a reference to the movie Pretty Woman.
Yeah.
Yes.
With when Richard Gere is opening the jewelry box and Julia Roberts goes to grab it and he like snaps it shut, they did that in this movie. And they licensed the song Pretty Woman by Roy Orbison just to drive that point home.
Yeah.
But the only thing that was missing is he didn't go, you didn't help me? Big mistake. Huge.
But they did have a Stanley Tucci type as an extra.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
With a jacket. I actually liked that guy's jacket.
Was Stanley Tucci in Pretty Woman?
He was not. That was Hector Elizondo.
Hector Elizondo, yeah.
But this guy looked very Stanley Tucci.
Stanley Tucci was in The Devil Wears Prada.
Yes, he was.
Okay.
So then they're at the dance, and he's talking to the kid who asked the girl out on a date, and the kid was like, he's like, well, you're going to dance with her? And the kid's like, well, I don't know how. And he says, well, I learned, so why don't you just look at what I do and then do it? So they're both dancing, and I was like, oh, that was kind of cute.
That was cute.
And then he's starting to melt.
Yeah, I wrote here, I thought my opinion was that at this point I said this was sweet, weird, as if it was a weird dream.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So he's starting to melt. So they go outside.
Well, he's starting to melt because they're doing some like big
routine.
Choreographed dance. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. That's right. They had like a flash mob.
They sort of hinted at it as Jack walked into the gym, and then it as if to make it out like it was going to be a bigger moment in the movie than it was.
Well, I think
I like
maybe
the little song actually.
I think they kind of used what they could get because they were kind of focusing on Jack at some point. So I think maybe they were hoping to get more than they did. Maybe it was the end of the day of shooting and they had to stop. And
they're like, we've been here all day. We don't feel like dancing anymore.
Yeah, this isn't getting better.
So then they go outside. They're starting and they're falling in love at this point. So Craig Robinson is still obsessed. And so
wait, they kiss though. Big moment, they kiss. Right. Because they're basically Lacey saw him melting saw an ice sculpture melting and realizes like, oh, Jack's sweating, let's get him outside. They go outside and then she's cold, and rather than give her his jacket, which he doesn't need because he needs to be cold, he starts to rub her arms with his 30-degree hands.
Yeah, but I don't think they kiss here though.
No, they do. They kiss, but then he freaks out. No, it's a quick peck. And then he freaks out and then heads inside. Yeah, it's not like a long, but the kiss is earned and it happens.
Maybe he's afraid. Maybe he was afraid that he was going to get hot.
Well, he says it's been the best night of my life, but I don't know how much time is left.
Yeah,
right. So then it's Christmas Eve all of a sudden, and Kate and Kathy's Cafe has a big Christmas Eve party that actually looked like a lot of fun.
A lot of people.
Oh, wait, before we get to that, though, very important moment is Nate is walking down the street and the sheriff, and notices that there's an ATM point with a camera pointed right towards where the snow sculpture would have come to life.
All right. And so there's a camera in the ATM.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I didn't know ATMs had cameras.
Oh, they absolutely do.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Well,
so
don't do any streaking.
Right.
Too late.
So they're at the party. Uh-oh. The party's fun. Everybody's having a good time. And then Craig Robinson shows up to ruin it. And he arrests Jack and takes Jack to jail. And so this is when the town is talking, and they talk about him being a snowman, and everybody believes it.
Yeah.
Like everybody, no questions.
Like, no, okay. Everyone's like, "Yep, cool, all good."
I don't understand it.
Not questioning the logic one bit. Makes sense to me. Where's my nog?
Okay.
So then Lacey goes to get Jack out of jail, and Craig's being a dick. So Craig is like...
Craig was fingerprinting Jack, and Jack doesn't have fingerprints.
Right.
No, but some people, they burn them off.
Yeah, well, that's what Nate thought.
So that would be suspicious, yeah.
And Nate, somehow, the sheriff in this town is the one that sets the bail amount.
Right.
Hey,
what was it? $2,000.
Yeah.
You know, it's a good show for the people in this town, Ancient Aliens. Watch that show, believe everything you see.
So he makes it $2,000. Lacey then goes to the deputy to try to help her out. And then she goes back and she starts taking a collection from the town. And everybody at this point loves Jack. So everybody's giving money, and then they find out that they're $10 short.
They're all outside the police station, standing outside like a mob.
And so the little kid that asked the girl on the date comes with the $10, and we find out that that's Craig's son.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did think it was funny, though, that like she already had a pretty big wad of cash from the safe at the diner. And then this entire town chips in, and she still hasn't made it to $2,000? Like, how cheap were those fuckers being?
Yeah.
So Craig's like, well, why? To his son, he's like, well, why are you giving money? And the son's like, because I like him. He was nice to me.
I actually teared up a little bit when he stepped forward to give money. I was like, oh, that was a really good twist, and that was cute.
Well, that's brave of you to admit that.
Absolutely.
I've teared up over these movies before.
Yeah.
A shoe addict's Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I recall. Maybe I have, but it's not at this
You
point.
have admitted that you have in the past.
Yes, you
I
have.
have, really?
You've admitted it. Yes, you have.
I did? Okay.
So Craig is convinced at this point, after his son gives money, then he realizes that he's being a dick.
Yeah.
And so actually he gives everybody their money back.
You dick!
Merry Christmas, Kurt.
Well, hey. Too early.
He gives everybody their money back, and then they go in to the jail, and Jack is like melting at this point.
By the way, when he gives the money back, he says something to the son to the effect of, a man is defined by his actions. And that's when it's like, oh, this movie's about public service.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Jack is melting.
Yeah.
He's in danger. So they put him in the snow. And then Lacey's like, you can't die. I'm falling in love with you. But then Jack dies. And then Lacey gives dead Jack a kiss. And she takes the scarf. And she starts leaving with her doctor friend with her arms around her, and she's crying. And then Jack woke up, and not only did Jack wake up, Jack is now a human.
It's a resurrection.
Yeah, he's cold.
Yes, and he's human. And so then
A res
the
what,
next
Kurt?
day-
A resurrection.
A res what?
No, I'm not gonna. If you want to isolate it, you're gonna have to do the editing yourself.
Okay. I thought I saw a giant icicle. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
So it's the next day. It's Christmas. He gives her a repair book, and they go and make repairs.
That's
And then
nice.
she gives him a ticket to Hawaii, and they go to Hawaii. The end.
Okay, so this is a woman's fantasy. She wants to get a repair book.
What a
Book on how to
shitty
repair
gift.
things around the house for Christmas. Here, honey. Now get to work. Oh, good. I'll do that next time.
But he didn't know any better.
I have a girlfriend. I saw this in a Hallmark movie, or I think it was actually Netflix. I don't remember the difference, but I know this is what women want. Here, now go repair that table.
He didn't know any better, though.
He should know. No, he should know by now.
Yeah.
She did it too. She went and fixed. She had to go down and fix a boiler or something.
Yeah. And she did it. They have heat now.
Heater. Yeah.
That's
Because now he can stand the heat.
That's like, when a husband buys the wife a bunch of like cleaning supplies as a gift. It's not a gift.
Not again.
Yeah.
Not a gift. She bought you plane tickets to fucking Hawaii, and you bought her a book how to fix the heater herself. You're a dick.
You dick!
And he's still ordering off of her computer, so it's like her credit card. She's even paying for it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
So
true.
So
Well, no,
this
he has
guy's
a job.
freeloader.
He has a job now. He's
does.
working for the school.
How? He
Wow.
doesn't have a social security number. That
They're
means
paying him
this
under the
school
table.
is paying him under the table.
That's right on the table.
We've got to secure our borders.
He's fucked. That's right. He's undocumented. Oh well. See,
Well,
that's
I
a sad
like this
ending.
movie.
I did too. I actually did too. Kurt did not, apparently.
Well, it's really opened up my mind to a lot of different possibilities out there. So I'm going to give her credit for that.
Okay.
And I
Okay.
do think that that the exploration, the journey that we've taken through this has been very meaningful.
I agree.
So this movie does have meaning
Yeah.
for me. Although I wouldn't have watched it otherwise.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I'm glad we watched it.
I am too.
And I'm glad that Lacey branching out
to Netflix, but I'd like to. She could stick with her brand. I mean, there's no these kind of movies aren't going to end, so she might as well do them for as long as she can.
Yeah, and she probably made 3 times as much for this movie as she would for a Hallmark movie.
Oh yeah. She's like, wait, you mean we have real snow? Oh my god!
I bet you the craft services on a Netflix set is way better than Hallmark. Sorry, Hallmark.
Oh, I'm sure.
Although I will counter my own point though, perhaps Hallmark has good stuff because they have lots of really good cooks in all those movies. There's always people that are like they're foodies, so it could be comparable. But I bet you it's better than Lifetime.
So I'm sure that Lifetime they.
You cut out there, Les. What was it? You said Lifetime what?
They have like M&Ms.
Mm-hmm.
Those bar, like those Nutribars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like granola bars, cereal bars.
Like for craft services, you get like chicken or a sandwich.
Yeah.
Wow. So how's Netflix doing these days? There's the bubble. The bubble hasn't burst, right? They're still going strong.
Well, Netflix is still the very dominant force in streaming, but all of them sort of shifted course. Like Netflix used to never care really about budgets and spending because they're just like, hey, we're just trying to like build our subscriber base. And now they're like a little more concerned with like, well, we should probably show that we're making a profit.
Yeah.
Right.
And Netflix will cancel a series in a second.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there aren't a lot of shows that really hit the zeitgeist, you know. But I was saying before, Matlock has it. You know, when Stranger Things came out, I thought that show really was like,
it absolutely did.
That was like electric.
But I would say that Squid Game did that, and they've got another season of that coming up. That Adam Brody, Kristen Bell show.
That was a good show.
It was really good, and that was culturally relevant for a minute there.
And Jason, we know somebody on Squid Game, right?
I don't know that I do.
I thought we did.
I'm excited about the Ted Danson one. That as we're recording this, it comes out today. I might watch that tonight. Because that's from Mike Schur, who did The Good Place, which is my favorite show of all time.
And of course, I watch Cobra Kai.
Yeah.
Because I got obsessed with Cobra Kai.
Well, it's Thursday night, which means that Elsbeth has a new episode.
Oh. Wow.
I love Elsbeth Tassioni.
Is it Matlock's on tonight too, isn't it? Or is that on Sundays?
I watched an episode last night, but I don't know.
I think it's Thursday. I think Thursdays are new episodes.
Well, I know what I'm watching tonight then.
Okay. And I think we know what movie we're watching for next week, don't we?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, and we got our special guest stars lined up. This is a hot show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A hot Frosty.
Yeah. A hot Frosty.
Hot Frosty.
Well, if you want more hot information from me, you know, because you can find me at lescirkendallbarrett.com or on Instagram at Kirkendall. Jason.
Please rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast and let people know about it. It helps more people find the show. You can find us all on Facebook, Instagram, and Threads at Lifetime of Hallmark Podcast, and on TikTok at Lifetime of Hallmark Pod. And you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and TikTok, and Blue Sky at Big Shot Jason. Kurt?
Yes, I will promote our friend of the show, Jason DeBray's podcast, which is the Shelf Shedding Movie Show. You can look that up, and I'm on a recent episode 91, where we do underrated Scorsese movies.
Oh, we need to get Jason DeBray back on our show.
Yeah.
Well, we have him on during Oscar time.
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah.
The Oscar award winning.
Well, during Oscar time, because I do the huge podcast with him, where we do all the Oscar nominations, and then we do this. Then we'll do the crossover episode where he'll come on to here.
Perfect.
Oh, I see. Okay, I get
So
a crossover event.
Yeah, we strategically place our guests, so that's when we can have him on more often too. We love, but the Oscar is when he will. It's our crossover episode.
Crossover event. But yeah, so this actually this made me feel like the movies, the crop of movies that we're gonna have this kind of promising.
Well, Netflix is certainly forcing others to up their game.
Because then we also have the sequel to, what was the one, the Three Men and the Baby.
Three Wise Men and a Baby.
They have Three Wise Men and a Baby 2 coming out.
Okay.
So, yeah, I have a good feeling about our movies this holiday season.
Okay.
Well, I guess that's it. So I will see you all next week. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.